What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Nocturnal Movie Club. I'm joined by my esteemed co-hosts Jake King and Ethan Singh. We are breaking down the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2. Ethan, break it down for us today.
And this one kind of picks up right where the last one left off. If you remember where episode one left us, we had the introduction of the new Captain America figure that I'm sure no one was at least happy to see a new figure taking the role of Captain America. We join him in the locker room and we start to learn more about the person behind the shield, so to speak. He himself is ambivalent of taking over this role. But as he talks with his friends, he gains the courage and says, this is a big role that people need to see. And he's willing to step up, just like he has in his previous time as a distinguished military veteran and as a former football star. So he goes out and he has his big introduction. And we quickly switch back to Sam and Bucky, who share our sentiments. Sam is feeling ever more ambivalent, to use that word again, about his decision. Cross that one, he feels that he should never have taken that shield, and at the same time upset that someone else has, while Bucky is full one-sided, angry at Sam that he didn't take up the shield and that now a stranger has taken it. Despite it all, Sam has a tip about where new flag smashers could be, and he wants to chase him down. And Bucky wants to tag along and not leave the topic where it is. So they go off on their mission together. As they go, one interesting bit, Bucky tries to jump out of the plane without a parachute, just like Captain America did in previous films, but doesn't quite land. But it's still an interesting tidbit. They go, they find the flag smashers, and they find out that there are now 8 other humans that are powered with the Captain America serum. They have a fight with them to no, possibly, that's correct, OJ. They have a fight with them to no great deal of success, only for the new Captain America and his military buddy to come in to try to save them, but to no avail, and they end up losing. There's a scene where they're walking back to the airport and they reluctantly take a ride from Captain America. They aren't happy to be talking with them. Sam and Bucky, especially Bucky, who wears his heart on his sleeve, is not happy to be talking with Captain America. And he eventually tells him off. And we keep getting to see more and more of Captain America, that he is a true distinguished American veteran. He is a Captain America of the 21st century, but we still can't. And he's likable in every single way, but Bucky and Sam can't seem to get to that end. Bucky thinks there's a new lead they can go, and we find out that there are other people who have been given the Captain America serum. But the one that they do find in Baltimore does not want to help whatsoever. Through a kerfuffle, uh, Bucky is sent to jail through an altercation with the police and is then bailed out by Captain America. Captain America tries one more time to try to settle things between everybody and play the nice guy, but Bucky and Sam are continuing to be standoffish and as a result completely sever that bond, leaving us with our final shot. They go to see Zemo to find out more from the Hydra perspective.
I love this episode so much. I thought this episode was so bold and it said so much, especially about the conversation about race. Um, it was so it was like little things that really I thought they said it without saying it. Like the cliches of them, they touch on them being sidekicks. They touch on black people in general just being sidekicks. There was a lot of things said, a lot of bold things said. I was really proud of this episode for that. Um, yeah, bravo. I think how we move forward with these comments, even what they did with Isaiah, what's his name, the black super soldier, the older black super soldier.
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, even what they did with Isaiah Bradley and how black people have been stuck in prison for unjustly. It's just so many little things they touched on here. I thought were great. It was so very out of character, but so bold for Marvel. I loved it a lot.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Even the scene that follows after that when they get stopped by the police, and they only got off the hook.
Yeah, just so many little things like the Black Falcon, the just like so many layers that I really thought were just beautiful about this episode. I thought was perfect.
Yeah. I have to agree. I really liked this episode a lot. And while I was thinking about it, I was thinking about what you were saying last week, Ethan, approaching this as a political thriller, about commentary on politics. And I walked into this episode thinking this is how I should be viewing it. And all of a sudden, everything just started hitting me a lot more this time. and I find myself really starting to enjoy this show so far. And this episode did a lot. Like they gave a lot of humanity to the new Captain America,
Yeah.
to Bucky and Sam, their interactions, them like trying to come to terms with what's going on, why each other is upset. And it provided a lot of great action, a lot of great scenarios too. The comedy between Bucky and Sam actually worked really well this time.
I was shocked
Yeah.
too because like last episode, I was worried that it was going to be a little how it is when they are together in real life, which is funny but like very slapstick. But it wasn't. It was kind of like fun and felt real and authentic to the characters.
Yeah. Yeah, they felt like they worked off each other like really well. Like
Yeah.
what you call it? Like you said, OJ, not slapstick, but just they knew how to respond to one another.
Very situational. Very good.
It was beautiful. It was like I can't say enough good things about this episode. I was really shocked on how much I loved this episode.
That's true. You bring up a good point. I really like how you described the little things on race and society today they commented on. I think I noticed all of them, but I never added up the sum to it towards the end. I think one of the big things that I loved though was the way they're developing themes, and they continue to develop themes in this episode. I think I mentioned something like last week about unwanted heroes, but that's a theme we've seen fully developed here. Like that's going to be a theme with this show of the unwanted hero. In episode 1, we had Sam trying to help out his sister, and he wasn't wanted there. We have Bucky trying to help out the old Asian man that lives near him, and he's not expected to be a hero there. He's not wanted to be a hero. Even now, Captain America himself is an unwanted hero by Sam and Bucky.
I disagree. I think this episode is all about Captain America's shadow. Everyone in this episode is trying to be
by
Captain
his
America.
own country at the end.
Yeah,
I think like you have John Walker trying to be. I think Steve's shadow here is looming over every character in this episode. Between Bucky, between Steve, between John Walker, between Isaiah Bradley, between even John Walker's sidekick. They're all trying to be Captain America, and then that I think that shadow is looming over them in like the worst way. Like they need to stop trying to be Captain America and be who they are. I mean, they're still figuring out who they are as heroes, but like and find their place in the world. So it's so many nuances here, and I loved it because it was so sophisticated. And then, but at the same time, they didn't lose the action though. The action was still on par and still great. So
on top of the 2 semis.
Yeah, it was so it was great. Like I didn't even
very Fast and Furious.
Yeah, 2 semis. That even though
Best way possible.
It was very typical action work, it still worked. It worked, and I was surprised how well John Walker worked. It was a lot of great things here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where they go with John Walker because like they gave him a really good setup in the beginning of this episode, and they showed throughout like he seems to want to do good in this role, even though it's big shoes to fill. But at the end, we kind of get a hint that like maybe he is going to be the enemy of the show, but who knows?
But who knows? But there's also another thing this episode touched on so beautifully is like good and evil is not so cut and dry. It's very gray. Like John Walker may be an asshole, but so far as we can see, he's a good guy. He might be and same thing with like even with Zemo at the end. Like Zemo was trying to tear the business apart, but like at the same time, it's good and evil, not so cut and dry. So it's just so many little hints here touched on that I love.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see how they run along with that theme as well. Like, because they're already at a great start.
And let's not forget the Flag Smashers too, and their whole political agenda. We even see that once they go to that.
Yeah, another point. Like it's like Flag Smashers, although the ideology might be extreme, but like if they have some great points about them that they're they want to convey. So I just I'm gushing over this episode.
And then we have when they meet the German guy who provides housing and food for them, he mentions that you have tons of fans all over the world. So this is a literal terrorist organization that has popular support from people, not just, which is interesting. That happens.
Which bears the question of how terroristy is it if it's millions of fans around the world?
Exactly.
So I thought it was great. I'm just nervous. Only thing I'm nervous about is not having enough time with 6 episodes to complete all these nuanced ideas. Because it's a lot of great conversations happening here. I'm nervous that we're going to wrap them up in a bow in 6 episodes. Quickly.
It's going to be like Game of Thrones light, right?
I don't think it will be like that. Like if they were able to like pack in enough in this one episode and soar with flying colors. I think the next 4 episodes are going to be good.
I think so.
By the way,
I pray so. I think the next 2 episodes are written by John Wick director. I'm not sure which John Wick he directed, or I mean written, but he's writing the next 2 episodes, or he's written the next 2 episodes. So I'm excited.
Nice. By the way, I have a feeling. What do you think? You think Zemo is going to be like the Hannibal Lecter of this show?
That's how they're setting him up to be, and I've heard a lot of people on social media call him the Hannibal Lecter of this show.
I think by the end of this series, Zemo might be an anti-hero.
Yep.
And he's going to go off into the Thunderbolts, which I think are soon being set up by Feige, like he's setting up Young Avengers. I think we already have a couple of members. We have Ghost. We already have Florence Pugh's character, Elena Belova. So I think in the comics, notoriously, Zemo was a part of that team. So I think Zemo might just turn into an anti-hero for the government. And that's another point in this show. Another great point. Like,
You want to give us more background on that team, because I don't know a lot about them, and I'm sure a lot of people who listen don't either.
So if you're not familiar with the comics, the Thunderbolts team was the government's answer to the Avengers. They had created their own Avengers team, and they were the Thunderbolts.
Interesting.
And everyone, please look up the Thunderbolts because they have a lot of great comic runs. They give similarity to DC's Suicide Squad in a way.
Yeah.
To counteract. So there's a lot of great potential here, but I think at the end of the show, I think Zemo will still be around and going on into the Thunderbolts.
I think regardless,
you also had General Ross, Red Hulk, as a part of that, and him leading the team. So a lot of the theories are General Ross is setting that, as we'll see ID and Black Widow.
That would make a lot of sense of how it goes next, because I think regardless of where it goes, Zemo wants to see the Avengers die, and I don't think that motivation can ever be removed from his character. Yeah. It's too ingrained.
Well, you know what they say: when you can't beat them, you join them.
That's true, but he also blames the Avengers for the death of his wife and kids. So I think he'd rather die trying than ever join them.
He's not joining; he's recreating them.
Recreating, yeah, exactly. Which is, in essence, just So I think that makes sense. That's a logical next step.
Overall this episode, I give it a 9.5.
Wow, that is high praise.
I think it was just almost perfectly done.
Wow.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I would probably give it a 9 solid. Like, I agree. I felt that this was a near perfect episode. Like, even taking the first episode into account, this episode did a lot of things right. They gave a lot of great backstory to these characters. Their interactions with each other are fluent. They're entertaining. The action is top notch. I love that semi-truck fight.
Yep.
And I love the setup to where it's going to go for the next episode. So I have high hopes for this show. So 9 for this one.
Yeah, which is crazy because I had very low hopes going into this season of the Falcon Winter Soldier. I was one of those people were like, "Oh, what are they going to do with these peak characters?" And they're way surpassing any expectations I ever had.
I'm on the opposite side. I was so excited to see this show come on. I love those actors, and I love seeing what they're going to do. Last week, I thought it was an 8 out of 10. I think this one's going to be an 8.5 out of 10 for me, maybe a 9. It's just splitting hairs at that point.
Which one do you think you might lean toward, 8.5 or 9?
I think I'll give it an 8.5. I think it does so many things well. It develops themes, textbook, perfectly. It introduces themes in episode 1. It continues to develop them. And I want to see how they're going to continue going. It's hard to digest a show while it's still going on and understand the true messages, but I'm starting to pick up those pieces and I'm loving that. I think, and those are really good points too. The themes are really good. The unwanted hero is something very, I think, relevant for this show. The only negative point I can give to this is that once in a while you get a little bit of like TV cliches or TV tropes. A little bit with Captain America, the new Captain America's acting. I keep calling him that. I'd rather call him that than his real name because it's so forgettable.
By the end of the show, he will be U.S. agent.
There it is. There's the lore information. I love it, man. But I think some of his moments were, first of all, to take a character we all hate and make him someone we like and can understand is incredible. So I can't discount that. But there were just some moments where some of his acting or the way his direction in the scenes was just so basic, like any CW show. I was like, oh, I'll take off half a point for that. That's why I don't want to give it a 9. I give it 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
And you guys know that's Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2's son, right? That's Kurt Russell's son.
Really?
Yeah, that's Kurt Russell's son. And,
Oh yeah, Wyatt Russell.
yeah, Wyatt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son as well. Yeah.
What the hell? I didn't no idea.
By the way,
Yeah.
before I forget, I need to mention, as I was watching this episode, I was looking at Wyatt Russell, and I'm like, he looks so much like Matt Salinger from the 1990 Captain America film.
Interesting. I never thought I'd hear that Captain America be brought up in a conversation.
Well,
But this is a movie
since we're on the
podcast
Shield.
after all. Since we're on the Shield.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for next week's episode. I'm super excited. Thank you guys so much for watching with us. Not watching with us, for breaking it down with us. We'll see you back here next week for Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 3. We'll see you then.
Awesome.
Guys.